Have you ever gone on YouTube and looked for stuff maybe along the lines of how to save more money, and then you see thumbnails like this, how I ruined my life by not spending any money? Financial YouTube really pisses me off when it comes to saving money. You either see two trains of thought. You either have spend no money and hate everything you do in your life, or it's the opposite of, oh, I am working until I die. I'm going to work 60 hours a week. I'm going to pick up DoorDash and try to see if that fixes my life. I don't think that's a really healthy way about going about things. So today we're going to be talking about how I save money, and one really common way of tracking your finances that everyone does. We're talking about budgeting today, and I can talk about why I don't do it and why I think maybe you should try not doing it as well. By cutting out budgeting, the biggest thing that's impacted me is that I have a better relationship with money. In the past, I've had really tough times with my relationship with money. It's something where either I'm really good at saving money and I have no fun, or I have a lot of fun and I don't save anything. I'm at the point in my life where I'm trying to save for a house, and I'm finally to the point where I'm okay with spending money while also saving at the same time. There would be times in college where I would go out to a bar with some buddies, get a beer, and think about the compounding interest potential of a beer, the $7 or whatever that I spent on this overpriced beer. And that's not a healthy way about going about things. It didn't let me enjoy the things that I was out there to enjoy, and it made me really regret the financial decisions that I made, even though it's totally normal to try to go out and have a good time with your friends. When it came to budgeting, something that I found myself doing is I would set these really arbitrary limits, and they were often way more harsh than they needed to be. I would set this limit of, say, $100 on fun money during the month, and then there was a point where I knew I was going to go over it, but I would set that as a limit anyway. And then when I went over that limit, it would make me feel like I didn't do what I was setting out to do. So I would feel really underaccomplished on what I was trying to do with my financial goals. So budgeting, I think, has a lot of negative associations with it when it comes to psychology. It's great for people who don't know where their money's going, but for someone like myself who has a very simple financial plan, I don't really need to be checking what's happening, every single day and see how much I'm spending on food versus gas, because some of the things are kind of out of my control. So here's how I go about not having a budget. The first thing I do is I've seen so many videos about people forgetting to pay important bills and they're not realizing that it's not being taken out of their account. I go through my account, every couple of weeks to make sure the important things are being automatically taken out. This stuff like a car payment, rent, health insurance, that type of stuff that is very important. And if you forget to pay it, there's going to be some huge consequences associated with it. So I make sure that's getting taken out automatically, because it would be a real shame for the lights to turn off because you forgot to set up autopay or you set it up with the wrong account. So I like to make sure that that's actually going to the right place. After all of those important things that are going to be billed monthly get paid, I go and look at my account and I set an amount for emergency fund. This is going to be different for every single person. For myself, that's $4,000. I live in an area where I feel pretty confident in my ability to get a job that'll be able to pay the bills within a couple of weeks. So for some people, this could be an emergency fund of 3 to 6 months of expenses. I like to keep it on the shorter end because I work in conservation. I don't make a lot of money, but I feel pretty confident in my ability to replace that income if for some reason I got hurt and couldn't work, or if I got fired. So after I've looked at my emergency fund, I have it set at $4,000. After my important bills are paid, I just look at it, my bank account, compared to how it's doing to that amount. I don't budget to see how much I've spent on X amount of things during the month. I just look to see how it compares to my standard of the $4,000. If I get towards the end of the month and I'm above that $4,000, like right now, I had a 3 paycheck month, so that resulted in me having more money than expected. Once I get to the end of the month, that's all going to be invested without thinking about it, and I'm just going to drain it down to that $4,000. If I get to the end of the month, probably during December, because December, if you didn't know, you're probably going to be spending more money than you expect. You have the holidays, lots of travel. You have to set up new health insurance, that type of stuff. I'm really salty about setting up health insurance today, so that's why I'm talking about it a lot. But after you have that, if you get to the end of the month and you're below your emergency fund, I just don't invest. And I don't punish myself for going over this limit, because every month is not the same. When I set a budget, it doesn't matter what month I was going in. I would set the same requirements or these arbitrary limits. And when obviously I went over it when it came to travel or buying presents for family members, I would make myself feel really bad about it. So instead of doing that, I just compare it to the emergency fund. Emergency fund, hopefully you're not going to need. So if you dip down, like $500 below where it's going to be, hopefully not going to be the end of the world. But that just means at the end of next month, I'm not going to be investing as much as I was previously. And I think that's okay. I'm trying not to punish myself for living life. When you see these videos on YouTube talking about how they cut out all the really exciting things out of their life to save money, that's not what I want to do. I think it builds a really unhealthy relationship with money, and that's something we're trying to avoid on this channel. I'm trying to promote positive financial decisions, but also trying to make sure that people enjoy the lives that they're living, because it's a real shame for people to cut out all the things that they enjoy, and then they get to retirement or whatever, year they're looking to save until, and they're like, I didn't really have fun in my 20s. So I've cut out the things that I don't really care about. I don't drink. I don't go out with my friends as much as I used to, because it's not something that I care about a lot. It was something in the past that I was really worried about feeling left out. But now as an adult, closer to my upper 20s, I feel more confident asking people to go hang out and do things that are either less expensive or something that I have more enjoyment behind. This could be snowshoeing, hiking, going to the coast, something that's not going to be as unfulfilling to me as going out and spending $70 on a bar tab that I'm going to look back the next day, have a killer hangover, and feel like I didn't really get that much out of it. This could be different for every person. Some people may love those nights out with friends. The big thing is I cut out things that I don't enjoy, and so that the things that I am spending money on, I don't have to really think about it in a negative way. I spend money on stuff that brings me joy and makes me feel good, and it's not something that I'm going to regret. I'm not going to look at my checking account the next couple weeks and be like, man, I really regret spending $150 at Cabela's, when it was me buying a fishing rod for me and my partner to go out fly fishing, something that we can do for the foreseeable future, and I have no regret spending that money. But if that was on a bar tab for a night that either I don't remember or I didn't have that great of a time, would probably regret it a lot more. So I think budgeting is important for people that are just getting started and doesn't really know where their money's going. But once you've been tracking it for a bit and you have an idea of where it's going, I think it's important to let go of the budget and more focus on the feeling associated with money. I think it's really easy to obsess over the dollars and cents that are coming in and out every month, but I think it's important to have an idea of the emotional toll that's having on you by checking that, and just give yourself some leeway. Yes, it's important to save money, but I think making sure that every cent is in the right place is not going to be beneficial for the long term, especially for mental health when it comes to money. Finances are one of the biggest stressors out in the world, and I think giving yourself a little more leeway and a little runway to have the monthly variations that you'll see is really important, and that's why I don't budget anymore. This may change in the future. I'm trying to save up to buy a house, and some things are going to change. We're going to be moving apartments, has some big expenses coming, so I might start budgeting again, but it's not going to be a long-term decision. I hope to get back to this point where I'm just looking at my safety net and investing the difference. That way I'm, one, investing consistently, and I don't have to think about it. Automatic investing is great. For a situation like this, I don't know how much money I'm going to have at the end of the month. So if I get to the end of this month and I have $1,000, I'll invest that. If I get to the end of the following month and I only have $10, I'll invest that. I think it's important to keep your safety net in check and make sure that you're not giving yourself a hard time for going over on expenses on crazy months like the holidays. So that's the reason why I don't budget. Let me know your experience with budgeting, if you continue to do it, and if you think this is something you're willing to try out, let me know in the comments down below. If you made it this far, I really appreciate all the support if you hit that like and subscribe button, and let me know what topics you'd like me to discuss in future videos. Thanks for watching. My name is Andy. As always, this is not financial advice. This is just my experiences, and I'll see you in the next video. Thanks for watching.